Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be drawing this Dragon Rider sketch. I kind of want to do something a little bit different since I've been doing my usual traditional inked lines, digital color process kind of thing. I really want to do a fully traditional sketch, little piece. This is by no means, anything super refined. This is more of a experimentation kind of drawing for fun, all that kind of a thing. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today is experimentation and how it's like super important to your artistic growth and creativity in general. I think a lot of the times we can kind of get stuck in our ways creatively and artistically, and you're used to kind of doing your process. Like for me, line working traditionally, and then going into your digital color, and then it's done, or whatever your process may be. Like you kind of stick to your road essentially that you figured out, especially once you've developed your style, right? You have a locked in kind of way of creating, and you kind of get a little bit stuck in your ways, or you can because you know that creative path to get to an end result succeeds or wins to varying degrees. Your process of finding your style is kind of just an iterative process of messing that up until you find something that works. Some people that can happen extremely quickly. Others it takes them years. Like for me, I would say it took me around 5 or 6 years to find my quote unquote style, but it is still in constant development, and it always will be. But this video is more on the experimentation end of things as opposed to the style. But that video is coming indeed. The importance of experimentation and how it relates to the like finding your style, or just succeeding as an artist, not getting stuck in your ways. It gives you freedom to fail essentially, or succeed. You get to try new things, see what works, see what doesn't. I would say overall, I think this illustration really succeeded. I think I struggled a little bit more in the color, just because I'm not used to coloring traditionally as much. Colors blend in different ways, obviously, than doing things digitally. So it was a bit more of a just kind of thinking back to the fundamentals of color, essentially putting this together and just kind of having fun with it, trying stuff, seeing what works. I mean, I know obviously general color theory, so it doesn't like look bad or anything like that, but there's definitely some things I learned and some color choices I made that I would do differently. And even some mistakes in the line work that I kind of just ink over, especially towards the bottom of the little frame, like with the, I guess, cliff side extending down. I end up just like essentially hatching over the whole thing because I didn't like how I initially started working at it. And all that's okay. Like I was just trying stuff, seeing what worked, seeing what didn't, trying new things, trying different ways of pulling the form out. And you can see I used like 3 different brush pens for the cliffside. 1, just because I didn't want to waste the ink in my main brush pen, and 2, because when I switched, I didn't like the way that ink was flowing, so I switched back to my other like Pentel pocket brush pen. Anyways, moving on to kind of the experimentation thing, is it's also really important because it takes off the pressure, right? I feel like a lot of time we are extremely pressured as artists to succeed, to find your way artistically, like find ways to even make money or succeed artistically in general. And I especially put myself under a ton of pressure to do all these things to a point where it doesn't even make sense. Like I'm going after things. I'm like a dog chasing like a mailman, kind of like if I got to the mailman, I wouldn't even know what to do with it once I got to it, kind of a thing. Like I don't even know what the end result is necessarily. I just feel this pressure to succeed, but at the same time, all that kind of kills my creative energy, right? Because I'm so locked in very rigidly on this goal, this arbitrary or even inconsistent goal, that it kind of takes away from my creative energy. So it's doing things like this where you kind of just take your hand off the wheel a little bit and let the artistic flow happen are really important to kind of reset yourself, right? And it also helps you not take yourself too seriously, because I think a lot of kind of what I was just talking about really stems from that. Like you think as a person a lot of the time like the world revolves around you, or you can, but in reality you're just a small cog in the machine of the universe, so to speak. So doing things that like there's no failure or success in it, kind of, at least for me, really helps reset my creative energies, especially if I'm going through things like creative block or burnout. Just kind of taking a step back and doing something different a lot of the time can reset the way way I think about things and the way I do things, and look at things again with fresh eyes. It's especially helpful for me right now. Obviously working on the comic, like I'm drawing in a very specific style, in a very specific way, and it's easy for me to get stuck in doing things the same way. I'm not saying I'm going to go start drawing the comic traditionally, like I have my process there, but just doing something different lets me kind of reset and not get burnt out on, like drawing the comic or working on other things, right? And doing stuff like this kind of reminds me that, artistic success or failure is subjective, right? Like there is not really a something that is better than something else or worse than something else. Your artwork kind of is what it is. And obviously you can execute your artwork at different degrees, because there are like people who are generally viewed to be better than other people. Obviously if you've been doing this for like 50 years, you're generally going to be viewed that you're better at art than someone who just started drawing, right? That's pretty obvious. But what I mean when I say your success or failure is subjective is that, when you're making something, there's so much self-critique and judgment, and in kind of a good way, right? Because you want to be doing a good job. You want to make sure, at least in my case, like my anatomy's on point, like this composition flows well, do the colors all work together, all those kinds of things. But once you go and take all those judgments and, those good judgments of, does this look right by my own standards, and then put it out into the world, it kind of isn't yours anymore, right? And it kind of is its own thing. This, kind of dragon piece that I made that, in the grand scheme of things, doesn't really mean that much to me. It was more just something fun. I might really, connect with someone, maybe, I don't know. But they'll have their own take on it. They might just think it's trash, they might really strongly feel that this is the worst thing they've ever seen, and that's okay, and someone else might think it's the greatest thing they've ever seen. And that goes with any piece of art, whether it's, comic book art, like what I make, traditional art, fine art, abstract art, whatever. It is all like that. So doing more experimentative stuff like this, just kind of, like I said earlier, really resets you and lets you view your art with fresh eyes. But that's going to be the video for today. If you liked the video, feel free to like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you have any questions, or if you have any topics you want me to cover in any of my videos. But thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you when I see you.